Small town years ago when I was growing up. We lived about a half an hour from the it's like a small meat store. It's tiny.
Oh iya. Tenzin.
Hello, understand.
Yes, yes. I think outside doors closed, this one open, I can feel it better. Last time one Benny gun lost her shoes. Somebody took her. Yeah, we are here. Don't lock it. Just open it. Lock, unlock it. Daya Namo Dhammaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Gurave Namo Buddhaya Namo Dhammaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Gurave Namo Buddhaya Namo Dhammaya Namo Sanghaya Gayande Alayanje Gayanje Toyakayan Prabhagaraye Kyosar Goyande Chayande Hajar Chayanje Jayabo Chayanje Alohoya Sanyata Sayatangaya Jayabo Nendraya Kaya Soya Naya Jaya Namaya Kar Saya Jaya Beya Deyate Jaya Jaya Ma Jaya Beya Zamaya Karaya Jaya Daya Loya Devi Saya Namaya Jaya Jaya Do Jaya Baya Jaya Shaya Balaya Jaya Yoya Soya Soya Jaya 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 Guna Jalaya Vaya Loya Jaya To Jaya Zaya Naya Vi Jaya Jaya Laya Jaya So Jaya Vaya Vaya Jaya Lamaya Mharaya Jaya Vaya Guna Oya Daya Daya Be Oya Daya Laya Shaya Jaya Oya Moya Jaya Naya Soya Meya Doya Da Jaya Yamaya Doya Be Naya Saya Jaya Shabaya So Moya Shamaya Doya Jaya 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 Soya De Jaya Namo Jaya Jo Jaya Laya Jaya Baya Be Daya Jaya Toya Me Jaya Samaya Jaya Moya Jaya 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 Baya Jaya Jaya To Jaya Paraya Dhammaya Ma Samaya Jaya Maya Jaya So Jaya Naya Jaya Pa Jaya Jaya Soya Soya Sha Jaya Maya Jaya Ndra Moya Jaya Jaya Laya Se Jaya Jaya Pahaya Be Talaya Choya Taya She Vaya Bohoya Chaya Je Lavaya Chaya Jaya Baya La Daya Jaya Saya Ba Haya Beya Yaya Baya Ma Yaya Jaya Laya Ma Daya Baya Chaya Namaya Je Jaya Gaya Kaya Na Jaya 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 Ne Jaya Taraya Samaya Be Taraya Jaya Jaya Maya La Savaya Jaya 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 Taraya Baya Vahaya Toya Sa Namaya Daya Vaya Sa Jaya Laya Jaya Baya Soya Jaya Kaya La Saraya Naya Maya Mahaya Taya Manaya Noya Mo Yoya Goya Raya Boyani Seya Teya Paraya Do Meya Namaya Teya Paraya Daya Soya Kiyami Saya Beya Gaya Wayandi Teya Daya Doya Wa Kaya Laya Kaya Beya Seya Paraya Gaya Se Nazaya Taya Baya Teya Beya Gaya Po Meya Doya Saya Jaya Meya Seya Beya Daraya Chaya Shaya Beya Se Shaya Meya Chaya Beya Waya Boya Jamaya Beya Beya Boya Maya Jamaya Zaya Saya Beya Da Aya Chaya Kaya Beya Soya Chaya Soya Kaya Ba Loya Saya Taya Beya Shavaya Laya Soya Wayande Meya Meya Chaya Beya Daraya Chaya Shaya Beya Se Chaya Meya Chaya Beya Waya Boya Jamaya Beya Deya Boya Maya Le Jamaya Zaya Saya Beya Da Aya Jaya Kaya Beya Soya Jaya Soya Kaya Ba Loya Zaya Taya Beya Shavaya Laya Soya Wayande Meya Meya Chaya Beya Daraya Chaya Shaya Beya Se Jaya Meya Chaya Beya Boya Gaya Beya Deya Boya Maya Le Jamaya Zaya Saya Beya Da Aya Jaya Kaya Beya Soya Jaya Soya Kaya Pa Loya Saya Taya Beya Shavaya Laya Soya Wayande Palaya Deya Saya Beya Laya Maya Reya Boya Che Daya Soya Shaya Wa Meya Deya Yoya La Kaya Deya Chembe Boya Neya Gaya Soya Te Koya Soya Toya Che and Yaya Tanya Laya Maya Reya Boya Che Daya Soya Gaya Kara Beya Meya Deya Yoya La Kaya Deya Chaya Beya Goya Neya Soya Te Soya Taya Teya Mo Moya Doya Teya Doya Soya Palaya Deya Saya Beya Laya Maya Reya Boya Che Daya Soya Neya Kara Beya Meya Deya Yoya La Kaya Deya Chaya Beya Waya Neya Gaya Soya Te Saya Choya Gaya Beya Paraya Doya Teya Bara Yoya Maya Samaya Gaya Me Shaya Raya Paya Roya Shem Maya Jaya Maya Ga Namaya Kaya Moya Waya Nye soya soya raya de ye ye she ya wa ye samaya jaya vi ya ma la ya sha ya che ya lo ye ya ta ga ya te ga ya te ya ra ya ga ya te ya ra ya sa ya ga ya te mo de so ha he ya ta ga ya te ga ya te ya ra ya ga ya te ya ra ya sa ya ga ya te mo de so ha te ya ta ga ya te ga ya te ya ra ya ga ya te ya ra ya sa ya ga ya te mo de so ha. Very long journey, you want to make the general don't talking about the Bagi sanji tamshi to sojalana me bayanda ba zobe sanji je ombarno bi kene je tobra shago ke tobra shawi chedo abe chörum bo je senya be kono sanji je semki che sembe gonne sember sho.
Let me remind all of ourselves to cultivate the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. With that kind of bodhichitta motivation that we should all participate in this teaching.
That need to ring around someone who done the thing you do Zomni Chukin Shiate, Tenda Carresina, around someone who the Dubo the Chibota, only Dungeta, Dungi Kujulas of the Wheel, doing it, doing it, you may have a Zoya tongue, only Susu around that, nigga the Tadu, the watching a cheto, and someone the Zomnita, Chukin Shigger was.
I believe the purpose of our coming together here this morning is to find a means or ways with which we can get rid of suffering and its causes for good, and to find peace and happiness and their causes. I think deep down all of us share those two innate wishes, that we wish for genuine, lasting peace and happiness, and we do not wish for any suffering.
Some of them, Susu Ranchamba, they would see you sometimes Shamaris. Ranly Yembe, sinking Samalo, they singing Yodoki Samalo. That nobody took a singing Tamki, and they would the Shibo Yaki Ran Nagi, they would the Shibo Yaki sometimes.
Relatedly, what I would like to emphasize here is that we must not be preoccupied with just our own self-interest. That is to say that how can I make myself happy and how can I get rid of all the suffering I don't want. As a matter of fact, all sentient beings, the 6 types of beings or migrators in samsara, cyclic existence, have the same wishes. Nobody in samsara wants any kind of pain and suffering, and everybody wants lasting peace and happiness. So in those respects, we and all other sentient beings are just the same, and we have that universal, if you will, aspirations, those universal aspirations, and so we should be thinking about how can we as all sentient beings be able to get rid of suffering and its causes that we don't want, and how can we find lasting peace and happiness and causes to experience them.
That thing and thing around that, so any somebody might be, and then that any singing Tamalo, any negative to do with the Kimbo the damaging around shaking in some bita, to shoot awaiting about the Tantunia or Tanguris.
As we cultivate such an altruistic attitude or motivation that is seeking the universal kind of happiness for the benefit of all beings, we must also, develop the sense of responsibility, if you will, personal, that whatever I can do to bring about the fulfillment of that goal or aim, I'm going to do that. So in other words, our altruistic motivation should be augmented or accompanied by, certain action-oriented, determination or sense of responsibility.
Rangi debo the kibo ta dungi condition rang didu condition ke yen dan dewa chadioris.
Whatever happiness and suffering we experience in our lives, these are related to other beings. Other beings.
The correlation when a rale Debut Jibu Karishon and a tete, rank Sinki yen, Latene, rank George Sani, Namitaran coin, but sometimes.
So if you ask how is that, how is our own personal happiness and unhappiness related to other beings? When we do any negative karmas, bad karmas in relation to others, it is these negative karmas that we do which bring us unhappiness as a ripening result.
Debut Jibu Karishon and Tati, and a yen to your Karis and a yen, sinking yen at the Jimba Tong at the Rana yen thing, sitting soon at the Tendiga and lay Zambo Justani, the Namitarana, talk Yombres.
And it's same for happiness that we experience in our life, that in relation to other sentient beings, we practice generosity, or that we abide by codes of ethics or morality. So when we do such positive actions or the karmas, good karmas, again in relation to others, these positive karmas bring us positive outcome such as happiness.
And the singing yen, only yen, be singing to, and they were to the Kibu to some yen.
Great bodhisattvas, they very much are aware that when others are happy, then they can be happy. So in other words, one's own happiness is related to others' happiness.
Sonzanta, Kasingarata Imbase, Tanda Shanju Sem Gondisane, Ane, Tambo tell a Dagi Nyambasi at the Kachimbachi rescue imbas. Ranta Yen, but Nyam Sidisane, this erda. Ral Deputy Chibu Goban Nayik and Singi Yen at Hanaik best some tongue, and Tango race.
So as I was explaining to you last week, that when we adopt the meditational technique of equalizing and exchanging self for others to cultivate altruism or bodhichitta, the first step we need to take, or the first point is we need to equalize self and others. Now, what does that mean? What that really means is, in terms of our, attitude, we need to see that just as we seek happiness, others seek happiness. Just as we don't want suffering, others don't want suffering. So in those respects, we and other sentient beings are just the same or the equal. So the equality in this sense has to do with our attitudinal balance here, and which is very important. So what kind of nyam means, we just translated as equality or sameness. We recognize here is that just as we want happiness, others want happiness. So we are equal in that respect, or same in that respect. Just as we don't want suffering, others don't want suffering. So again, we are equal or same in that respect. Keeping that in our mind, in our everyday life, as we interact with, others in the society, we should not think of hurting or harming them through our actions of body, speech, and mind.
So that, Robert Geshe Tsultim Gyeltsen Ran Deputy Chief Governor Hela Google, so that the leg tall, Pember do two in a duet, Santango.
if we could help others to find happiness, if we can do something, whatever we can do to help others find their happiness as we interact with others in the society, we should do that. So in our everyday life, we could, if you will, apply this principle that we, help others if we can to find happiness, and we see that we don't do anything that, harms them.
No, no, that hasn't the title Rob's my judge Hubina. And then rank difference begins, rank difference begins in there. Rank difference begins in there, anti Ralamandi has to thank it that child says, Tinsital George Shagwaris.
Just to overview what we were talking about last time, the second step of the point of the technique is in every possible ways we should try to see the faults of self-cherishing attitude or self-centeredness. As a matter of fact, self-centeredness or selfishness is the source of all misery that befalls us.
The things that come, Ranta Hill and Mandibri, Kandiki Shumbayina, and the Chamalo, Rankivan the Bikinzi going showing, Baris.
Whatever misery or unwanted things we see in the world, whether we ourselves experience them or where others experience them, all those misery and unwanted problems arise from, they are due to selfishness.
That thing, but the decision by Kaula Kusunas, and the wrong gatoreta, run like doing but they could that in deletions. Run doing it and connect to in the day, run Changba Anita, Biota, then tea on Kate, lay, singing and never say tea on the tissue, we are a Trikanand was.
Great Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva states that clearly, as Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, that whatever misery or unwanted problems we see in the world, these are nothing but due to our own self-centeredness or self-cherishing attitude.
So that Nangi Ranta Yen, and then you think comes at that, they were the Kibo, that liquid so connected Shumba in a Tanzu Chamalo. And they would the Shiva kill some tongue, he won't show him, but this.
Relatedly, whatever happiness and goodness that we find in our life and in others' lives, as a matter of fact, throughout the universe, all the good things they come from cherishing others and cherishing other sentient beings.
The Imbayanta, not just a show like Shunjun and Chiwarda, those you did the what in you, but they could yen in relations.
And again, I want to quote the words of Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva, who says that whatever happiness is there in the world or universe, it comes from wishing others to be happy.
So that thing around so has a change of yours.
And those are, I think, great, I should say, advices for us.
That is, and Kyola Jesse Michael no Shungun can number rating in the Zawati and the Sanji Jumdi the Tarankan yours.
What Bodhisattva Shantideva has written in a guide to Bodhisattva's way of life, Bodhisattva Char Avatar or Chunju in Tibetan, that is based on what our historical teacher Shakyamuni Buddha himself has said originally.
So that wrong Rang Deputy Chief and Chamba Sana Matavish, that by you. And then Raleigh Yen be sinking Yen to journey, you will see some Tambina, that the Nami the round and the Raleigh which code was.
So the point I'm making here is that if we are not preoccupied with just our own self-interest, and just all the time thinking, how can I make myself happy, and forgetting others. Instead of doing that, if we develop the concern and attitude, of how nice it would be if others find happiness, and how would I be able to help them find happiness with such attitudes, cherishing others, we find our real happiness.
So the rang keepers on the Shabian and Milikadana Sagari. Taganita, Kevin Shigan Lomba Pinsul, Pena, Ma and the data. Tagana, you live mena, rang in a yate, rang any. Ramang Puchunate, Rankeber Zone, Rank to under drip, the Ye Yarando incense, the Wonk, Shunari, Gurva, Tension Santan Habogurvas.
If we are too preoccupied and concerned with, ourselves, that, one's own kind of selfish, happiness, then it has so many, implications. And in a very broader context, this is how we've start a war against other nations and people, because basically it is coming back to that I want whatever I want, happiness, and what we believe happiness brings through war. And even in a very small sense, that at a very individual level, we don't get along well with people. Everybody is pissed off, and it seems like people they don't like you anymore. And now we start to see that everybody is becoming our enemies, and all of these are nothing but due to being so self-centered and selfish.
That this is Rank given the beginning the yen given the changing but the share that you intended. That can this have was the pelletin hakovers. Carriers, Dajak Domahel Tobacco, Rai Yawarton, Yen Cabra Zone in Sunny, and it and Sanji Comaton now your race. That in the day, Comas of your race. Mama again is that give a chance. Sergeant Pay, Coin Ya Taught, Mazuma, Kayamari. So two
key points in the meditation technique of equalizing and exchanging self-others are reflecting on the faults or disadvantages of self-cherishing attitude and reflecting on the benefits of cherishing others. And so those are key points here. And in order to really, get convinced by the fact that self-cherishing attitudes, brings so much suffering, and cherishing others bring real happiness, we also may want to find, good examples, to illustrate these points or to support, the premises of these principles. And so one of the best examples we could think of is our historical teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Where is he now and who is he? And compare ourselves to him or him to us. So what we see with our teacher Shakyamuni Buddha is that he is a completely enlightened being called Buddha, and he has found the the highest level of happiness, and that does not change into suffering, and he has no suffering at all. But one point in time, if we look back, that he was just like one of us. He was equally deluded, and there was time that Buddha was not, spiritually higher than us, or we were not, subordinate to him. He was just as deluded and as ordinary as, we are now. But then he changed his, mindset and course of actions, and which led him to the complete enlightened state. And now, just look at him. Where is he and where are we?
So that the pellet Jeper zone, Rayawar Doctor Chevy and attack, the any Toja Tatuna with around the cake, the Ragu emite, at a pay to Haku, what Johnson around Samaloke, and yin yavar madobashi, and that yin never mashabashi, then yin never mashi, yin yavar madobashi, and rally yin cage which is to nature.
So such examples, we should take into consideration would help us to understand and to be convinced by the benefits of cherishing others, and where does the cherishing others ultimately lead one to, and what's wrong with self-cherishing, attitude, and then we learn lessons from Buddha's life, and that. We should learn to cherish others, and so that we don't remain, indifferent or negligent of others' welfare or betterment. And if we could cherish others more than ourselves, and we learn to regard others as more important than self.
No, that any okay, and someone something with that they can't accumulate my. So those are some of the thoughts I wanted to share right in the beginning, and of course these are related to what we were talking about last week, and then I'll continue my teaching from the last week. So that any Ani yin kebren de bekinzi je ani yunte gotomen sambas ani dagin je ongor simbas ani tela ten tongling gonchu sakinga khasan yebas.
Just to refresh your mind, we laid out 5 key points which are found in the meditational technique of equalizing and exchanging self for others. And the first key point is equalizing self with others, or understanding the sameness between self and others, which I just explained to you. And then the second key point is reflecting on the demerits or the faults, disadvantages of self-cherishing attitude. Third key point is reflecting on the benefits or the merits of cherishing others. And the fourth point is the actual process of exchanging self for others, or the actual practice, if you will. And the fifth point is, how do we do Tonglen practice, the practice of taking others' suffering and its causes upon ourselves and giving happiness and its causes to others. The point number 4, which is the actual exchanging self for others, I think is rather a difficult point maybe for you to understand, and we really need to pay close attention to it. You may remember that this exchanging self for others has nothing to do with any physical changes we may bring about, such as changing some material gifts, or like changing the seeds, like giving one seed to others, or giving some material gifts to others, or changing some locations, or like that. So exchanging self for others, does not have, or it does not mean exchanging one seeds or one material gifts or anything like that. So what we really need to exchange here is to bring about attitudinal changes within ourselves. So how do we do that? Bring about an attitude change within us is, so let's say, for all this time, if we have been very occupied with our own selfishness and just only thinking about nothing but our own happiness and pleasures all the time and in every possible ways. Now we started to kind of refocus, on how to bring happiness to other sentient beings in every possible way. So instead of just being preoccupied with one's own selfish interest, now we try to be preoccupied with how can we bring happiness to others.
Da rang yin yar dog yaras, yin san tang tang marabas. The people in the mato, people in the rang kachasi, and yin samalo de rang kachonges. That they had yin samalo kachasi, rang kachonsta. Then those in the Guyaris.
So before we learn about this meditation of exchanging self for others, we look at our own attitude and how do we relate to others. So we find out that what is most important in our mindset thus far is that I or the self is the center of the world. Okay, so we want happiness for the self, and we really are not much thinking about others at all. We are very indifferent to others' betterment. And maybe we are a little bit concerned with or care for some of our relatives or family members, or even not that. There are problems in those areas. And so basically, even if, let's say, we are concerned with few limited others, maybe friends, relatives, family members, but again, within that sort of area, the most important, again, is I, self. I'm the most important, and then next my family members or friends, like that. So this is how our mindset has been,
Passive, when I say, Tambu and Rangi say, Rangi a little side and when some tongue, and then yes, they drag some tongue was.
And if we just think of how this mindset plays out, even in very mundane activities, is if there is a very delicious food to eat, maybe first, if you are very self-centered, I want to taste it first, right? And then I'm going to share it with others.
Yagata aling rang Pigutan. And it in a yen remember Tangamato, Tambo on a rang Kadi in a time around the Tambo living to us.
And then if it comes to picking up clothes or like that, first we want to choose the best for ourselves, and then there are the things we really don't care that much, And then we say, okay, are you interested in having them, or we give the others, other clothes we don't like that much to others. So you see what I'm saying? The I or the self is the most important here. That's what we see.
That thing had changed. That Jago rest that you had the Jeju to theatre was that.
So what we really need to change or exchange in that sense is such attitudes, taking self as the most important. We need to change that attitude.
The one that Namji said the was understand each other saying the was. That thing only to me is Shaguramato, that was a cunt that has love and review Amaris. When it's not take care of what you reviewers.
And we often hear about people stressing the importance of understanding each other. You say, oh, that's great. We need to understand each other. But if you really mean it, I know that is a very important thing. But if we're simply saying it for the sake of saying it, we really don't mean it. It's just a lip service we give to it. Then it has no meaning.
The next sound of the kick, he passed it. That was shared over here. Jandi Tugumaris, Ma Tugumaris.
If we really truly understand each other, right, we care for and truly understand each other, then I don't think, we will have many of the conflicts and the wars that we witness in our world.
No fighting, no war, they will not become. Anyway, that is it. That is it. At the rig, and sometimes, when me palm up chim the nani in a palm pinga down Samalupe, Chumbo the Timbo here, that Kacham Chagres.
So we see the importance of friendship and harmony even within a family unit. So if we really truly care and understand each other, then I think even within a family unit, the family members will be much more comfortable and happy with each other, or even between two friends, friends understand and care for each other well, so there will be less of a problem between people.
I think around the union for somebody education which wasn't the was.
So the point I'm making is that how important it is for us to exchange our self-interest, to cherish others. And I think I talked about the practice of Tonglen a little bit last time. Anyway, we really need to, cultivate the, Tonglen practice in our meditation.
Don't try to try mambo. Doing your day or Chesa, Tenzu doing it in the coach of a show some. This is someone doing it in a tobacco. Or losing some time with this.
So as we do Tonglen practice, so I hope by now you are getting used to this Tibetan term called Tonglen practice, which is thinking of taking others' suffering its causes upon ourselves and giving happiness its causes to others. So I prefer to use the Tibetan term, which is very compact. Otherwise, I have to repeat mouthful sentences 1,000 times, and that becomes a tongue twister, and very hard for you to listen to. The whole sentence repeated 10,000 times. So Tonglen practice. When we do Tonglen practice, and what we really, one of the key things here is, as we, encounter problems or difficulties, we simply don't, face them without, and be bogged down. Be so much caught up with our own problems of suffering and be trampled down by such misery. But rather, we try to widen our way of thinking that I'm sure in the world there are thousands of people or beings, who are going through similar problems or misery that I have. So by my experience of this misery or problems and difficulties, may all others do not have to experience their problems anymore. May they be freed from their problems. So that's how we widen our, our way of thinking, which is a key to Tonglen practice.
That condition some time in a tea tony, Capeti Yan, some time in a Ranla Mendevi condition again, to the Tamalo, give a shoulder pie, writing some tongues.
So if, we know how to think or cultivate positive thinking, so then even the difficulties that we face, could also bring about certain positive, outcomes, because we are facing difficulties with courage and with positive thinking that may serve certain greater purpose, not just simply, suffering through or going through, trauma or something, but we experience it with certain sense of, if you will, a certain sense of awareness that by my experience of it, it serves the greater purpose of helping others to be free from similar suffering.
So, the nigga and gum Jenkins over any, Roshan and do Shalom Karishina, and the Saint Yen pay at the that tell you there is.
So with such positive and altruistic thinking, that true practitioners of Tonglen, whatever they do, even simple actions they do, they're walking, they're sitting, they are standing, or they have to do all other things, all such, simple, ordinary, down-to-earth actions could also, become very meaningful spiritually.
No, so that any. Tangaransola and Nicholas name Nasamambu Yungo attending Nadutani, but Tete Neka de Shombagina, Tandega Anita, Ranle any Dunge there, nay, Nani Dunge Shungate, any Yen, Tenzo and Tana Yike, Yungu, Chesa, Tenzo, Pambagita, Tenzo, Dunge the Trevi, Julian Draw, who somebody sent Chegina, there was.
So we do get sick, often. And at such times, if we can adopt this kind of positive thinking or attitude, that by my experience of this particular sickness, may all other people and sentient beings do not have to experience this kind, then I think really experience of even sickness, it acquires certain meaningful dimension.
The Gompata, Kipcha Javina, then you look like Chambrasa, don't any but Pemerjans, don't want a lambani but in those in a bedney, and a tumble to lay any part down, any to lay young part down she, the Lozon attended Sijima and Carse, lose the indemnity on the wall. Only in but Pemerjan. Young design Pelni Jangores. Tumble to land, any part down. Part down to land the Sigi again with Dungeta, Dungi Jotunzor. Part down to the guys around the Dewa town, David Joe, and the liquid soccer region, tip heart and tongue.
So, if we would like to do the Tonglen practice, the practice of giving and taking, but take it with not give and take, okay, giving and taking, more detailed, into more in depth, as we find it stated in the 7-point mind training or Lojong text. And Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, which says, we can alternate giving and taking, and we can let the practice ride or mount, I'm literally translating here, hopefully there will be explanation, mount process of breath. So when we do Tonglen, right, what we can do is we alternate between giving and taking. First we think of taking, which is taking other suffering and its causes to ourselves. And then next one, what we do is we give to others our own happiness and its causes. So we are practicing giving and taking, in that alternate way.
Patedizani, and the young Tobasagro, Tanga, Karan, Chitaya, Mingaran Keke, Yending Rick Nabatin Namobatan, and the shoot Chimbatili came and do. They can't take in some young Tobasagro was.
So we may, have certain doubts about, what can I really give others? I don't have much. I don't know much. I don't have much. So what is there to give to others?
That is young American Tanda Kemania, Tanda Chunjuki, Tita, Ane Maompana, Ane Sanji Combatos and Tag, you and Tartuba. When you donate pay Sanji Machapa, you enjoy that Tenzin de so down it. Tata, you can be any gets in and Dakarina, there were Chunju Tita, and a Maompana, there were Chimbo, Tangenti Chimbo, you would dominate Tandan to lend Tangiares.
We do not need to feel handicapped or limited by what we can give to others. We may have accumulated, small virtue or positive actions right now, not much. But we can think about, all the positive things that we could do in the future, all the way to complete enlightened state, especially when we become a Buddha, how much more positive things we could do for others. So we think about the future positive things that we could do and put that together with whatever positive things we have done or we could do now. So when we have the totality of the virtues of what we do now, have done so far, and what we could do in the future, then we can dedicate such positive actions or virtues or merits to other sentient beings.
That tendency is standard man, Taran Tandan around Meda, you can just take something, some bus.
And here again, somebody might think that, if I don't have, what does it mean? Like, we can think about what I can do in the future and give that now. So to give, I need something now. If I don't have what is in the future, is not what I don't have now, right? It's not something I have now. So how could that work? If you think.
Well, when Pamainandra, Karina, Garudosinandra, Tandangal Taya Mede, you sang any you ever seen the translator taking in that and the Labdits any Pajoma de Lasate Simbakita, and you say in the Maupana Koranka, Tay Chagar was.
I think even in our ordinary life, where the parents say this to their children or friends to each other, say, you know what, I don't have much now, but if I, find, success or whatever the good things in the future, I would like to give you that. And so with that kind of attitude or dedication, I mean, you really make the others happy. Children are happy if the parents, say that, or friends are happy if they hear their friends say that, So it's not something you are saying it for the sake of saying, but you are really not saying it for the sake of saying it.
Not only.
You are just thinking, in case you do succeed or get your success in the future, you are really going to do that,
This Christmas time I don't have much gifts, but next Christmas time I'll give more. There's a lot.
No.
I come to the game alone.
No.
Alas. That in the church, that thing in Luna Chamber, Luna Chamber, that only going to continue, but the Patea town to land, but the Lunken wrong to the Chevros.
So it says we alternate giving and taking Tonglen, and we let it ride the breath. So in other words, when we do Tonglen, we also use our process of breathing.
So that is a part on this. The two languages that are two languages, but that see to pay Dungitan, Nadas, Dungilas, and they very connected that they never know can say it. So language. So now we have been to round to that round to Timizon of shit.
So how do we do that is, first we take other suffering to ourselves. So here, as we breathe in, when we inhale our breath, we visualize taking other suffering, such as sickness or whatever, in the form of, let's say, a black light, and we inhale it, and we visualize that it somehow we receive the black light, and it disappears, in our system.
That those in two languages, that's so any nigga told the ranking dancing Maripati, Chendesh, pay Yankee. Not don't review that you have a ranking him cattle you have sometime.
Okay, let me explain it in a little more detail here. Okay, so we in our heart, we visualize our self-cherishing attitude or self-centeredness in the form of, let's say, like a halo of black light. And then, as we inhale our breath, we visualize taking other suffering in the form of black light.
That any thinking years and it's a long year with that. And we're not been a dunga that dunga give it to Tomalu to we're not been numbers in two lane, but they call associate in the dancing Marie, but not the cure. T. Kalmandos in the Timbits and Kangape. Yes, somebody that Johnny Garcia. Tangi, we're now with the thing Mabashi. Kangape, yes, somebody.
And so, as we can visualize our self-centeredness or selfishness as kind of how should say a black a ball or something in our heart, and then when we visualize taking other suffering, to ourselves as we breathe in, we take the suffering in the form of black light, which strikes the ball of light within our heart, which is nothing but our self-cherishing attitude, and then we think that now the self-cherishing attitude is, eliminated or destroyed by the black light.
That's it. That thing, we are not about to pay the question. Told the end of the cake on a pen. Niman Nangan China Sunday, remember Sunday 2 months, best conversation condo to night.
So we do not have to worry like, oh, maybe now that little, whatever the black, ball of light we visualize in the heart, is somehow the remnants of that thing is scattered inside my body or something. You don't need to think and worry or maybe narrow-minded like that. Just like when the sun shines, the darkness disappears, right? There's no such thing as remnants of the darkness are somewhere left in the world, somewhere, It just goes away, darkness. So in the same way, when we receive that light and hit the, our self-cherishing attitude, we feel that self-cherishing attitude it is eliminated just instantaneously.
That lens attack, you but the Pataya Garrisana around Tanda Yupe and it did with the Chibota, Maupana, and they were the Chibu Chimbo in attack, but not Sanji Combato. Ani ram tumbole neve sena anda debo jiwo kira yungu ere jeja tenzu danda yeba chungju teta yu maungpa ne yungju chimbo zu domne kanga pe nagu yuenpa ne de we karbe namba shi pa sengi pa chinshin sengi tangi le pe tamsung samba shi samba shi sam.
And next, as we breathe out or we exhale our breath, we visualize sending our happiness and goodness and virtue in the form of white light that goes out through our left nostril, and sentient beings receive this light. Now we can hear thing also that whatever virtue we have accumulated thus far, or whatever happiness we enjoy right now, plus whatever happiness and virtues that we would have in the future as we progress on the spiritual paths and grounds, and as we become spiritually evolved, we will have more happiness and more virtue all the way to Buddhahood. Once we become Bodhisattvas and Buddhas, how much more virtue and happiness we would have. So we think about all of that, happiness and virtue, and send them in the form of white light through our left nostril, and we exhale that, and sentient beings receive it, and thus they find the happiness. So in the something I left out in previous explanations, when we inhale the black light to take the suffering, we inhale it through the right nostril.
That nigga from the Shevan, that is Samalu, and you said, Rangula Mashe Shevi Tup, so then Roguris.
So as we do Tonglen practice, combining it with our process of breathing in and breathing out, we breathe in through the right nostril and visualize taking out the suffering in the form of black light. It destroys our self-cherishing attitude. And we exhale through the left nostril and send our happiness and goodness in the form of white light to sentient beings and feel that sentient beings are happy. So through this kind of meditation, practice of Tonglen and meditation, we are able to cultivate and augment our bodhichitta practice or the altruistic attitude practice.
That condition and done this song yet. Thank you just same temperatures. And the negation that you said about your share some maze and the top temple name pay and the Sanji Gomatas about the that rang Julius you same to Neak some Congress.
And as great Domdava tells us that through such methods or the techniques, we should cultivate bodhichitta or bodhisattva's attitude, altruism. Not only that we cultivate it, but we see that it is stabilized within us and we enhance it all the way to complete enlightened state.
All that's and you said about your Rangula temperature and the shape top careers in the tele and the top New Year's. He shared so any top Nasu going to stars. 아니 손님들이 소원이 버때 장기 세월은 보지 란지 담바샤위 체도 손님들 초당 이히지 초원이 버때다 사고레스 가는 거.
So how can we cultivate and stabilize bodhichitta within ourselves and enhance it? In a nutshell, here Great Dhamma says that we need to do two things. We need to accumulate merit and we need to purify negativities. That's what we call we need, let me do it again. We need to practice the two types of accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom.
손님 초 사디서는 간데 손님 초 사세 간데 지레서나 아니 랑게 최바 표야다 아니 그래다 최바 표야다 다가나기 샤차워도 최바 표야다 아니 디we 자마다 겨울아 제수 여러분서 다 참말로 가르쳐야겠나 아니 상규 샘지 제 셈바지 그거야레스.
So how do we accumulate merit or sunam jitsok, accumulation of merit? How do we do that? We could do that through many actions or practices, such as making offering, such as doing prostrations, such as doing confession of our negativities, and such as rejoicing in positive actions. So when we do any of those things, we should see that we are motivated by altruism or bodhichitta. So with bodhichitta motivation, when we do any of or all of those actions or more, then we are accumulating. We are able to collect what is called accumulation of merit.
That the impossible is when the social Chobaji Puyana, the metal Puyanda, and the Puyada, the Chimney Puyada, and Chipua, and the Hindu Puyata, and the Gina, and the Puyate, correct on the Shakir, that's something ever tongue, that the Gulonde, and the Magisanji Sanji Tendo, Sanji Gomatoba Shavi Chedo, and a Chimin de Pu, Puyun the Jaws Year Pu, or Shani Kuyusan, and then they chop the Pusan machine, then about the Gulo, the Shanju Sangue, Simbaki, then about the Google. This Shobayana. It is
must that we cultivate bodhichitta motivation, altruistic motivation, in order for us to collect accumulation of merit, sanam jitsok. And with bodhichitta motivation, we can offer flowers, we can offer butter lamps or candle lights, we can offer incense, we can offer fruits, we can offer water balls and so on. So through such offerings, we are able to accumulate merit. Technically, I should say, we are able to collect accumulation of merit. And so the key to here is we must first check with our motivation. We must cultivate bodhichitta motivation in order to collect accumulation of merit.
아니 당이 자초바 피해던 랑 개와 사부터 참말로 아니 돈이도 비혈지 심비나 아니 이히 초 공수도고였다.
So as we engage in practices or actions to collect the accumulation of merit, just the way I explained it, now if our actions are also conjoined with, if they are, I should say, characterized by the wisdom, realizing emptiness, then we are also collecting what is called accumulation of wisdom or accumulation of insight.
That is this page here yesterday. When that's around any perfume and that and it's a same station and it's on social. That he told this Choba Pune, this is a Choba Buyutan, Choba Zetan, Choba Pure Rani, and a Mendando, Ove Patabacha Mato, Rangajubacan May Sambeta, Rangi Madrupa Yin Sambaki, Nabado, something. This Shabana, he talk Kunstdogo.
So let me give you a very simple example to explain how we could collect both accumulation of merit and accumulation of insight or wisdom here. Let's say maybe you love to offer flowers or incense or whatever you love to offer. First, you should check with your motivation. You need to cultivate bodhichitta or altruistic motivation. In other words, what's the purpose of making these offerings? What are you trying to achieve? So that's enlightened state for the benefit of all beings. And so you cultivate bodhichitta. And then you offer your flower or incense or whatever offering you make. And now at the same time, you meditate or reflect on how everything involved in your practice is what we call empty of inherent existence. In particular, these three things, what is being offered, flower or incense or whatever, and you are the one who is making this offering, and to whom you are making this offering, all of these do not exist from their own side. They do not exist objectively, but everything is nothing but merely imputed by terms and concepts. Everything is what we call mere labels. So when we reflect on that nothing in the world, nothing in my practice has inherent existence, and everything is merely imputed by terms and concepts, now we are collecting both the accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. So it's very important, for us to see that, with regard to, one practice, a single, action practice, we can collect both accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. So the point I'm trying to make here, which is very, very important, is that in a single practice we can collect both accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. And otherwise, if we don't know how to, do all these thinkings, we could be spending a lot of money, but we may not, accumulate much merit. Let's say, we like to buy flowers and offer, right? So we spend a lot of money, and we just only think about, in a very ordinary way, yeah, I love flowers, they're beautiful colors and shapes and whatever, So I think maybe Buddha would like it. Okay, so that much. Well, in that case, yeah, we may earn some merit, but it's very, limited merit. But rather, if we cultivate bodhichitta motivation, we reflect on the emptiness nature of all the things I just explained, with that kind of thinking and, understanding, we are able to collect both accumulation of merit and wisdom. So we want to have a far-reaching effect through our practice.
Ya control the mato ya pinyu sun he swing but joyta man no jimba tang de sani pinyu yung mare sam te sanjo ki go chagar sam tang ki waris.
Although I just used the example of making offerings to Buddhas and, how we could accumulate both, how we could collect both accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom, but you should not think like, okay, maybe that's how it works. Now, maybe not with making gifts to the poor and needy. No, it's just the same thing. If we help the poor and needy or make gifts to them, cultivating the same thoughts, we are able to collect both accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom.
That is shaving nothing, so that he saw you but dig it. Don't drain the correction, Rangi Sanji did Sani, Chugotan, Zukus, a Kuj, Kota, Zukus, and but the Sanji Kunin to Juaris.
So, what is the purpose of collecting accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom? You ask, what do they really bring ultimately? Okay, what do I get out of it? what we get out of it eventually is, we become an enlightened being, and we, actualize or accomplish the two enlightened bodies, the enlightened form body and the enlightened truth body is called the Rupakaya and Dharmakaya. Accumulation of merit brings about enlightened form body, which is called Rupakaya. And accumulation of wisdom or insight leads to, enlightened truth body or Dharmakaya. We are all same in that we can all become an enlightened being or Buddha. It's not just something between something we only we could do it, but as a matter of fact, all sentient beings could become Buddhas. So theoretically, every sentient being can become a Buddha. But in reality, we must, create the causes and conditions necessary to bring Buddhahood about, to become a Buddha, right? Without causes and conditions, nothing will arise, nothing will come into existence. So therefore, simply by thinking that, okay, I'm a sentient being and I'm going to become a Buddha, well, that is theoretically right, but without creating the causes and conditions to become a Buddha, you are not going to be a Buddha. And the next statement, great Damdamba says that in every possible way we should purify ourselves of negativities. If we don't do purification practice, if we don't purify ourselves of negativities, then we will really end up, encountering many problems. Forget about, liberation or nirvana. And here, Damdamba says, through many different methods, the way I said is in every possible ways, we should purify our negativities. That means there is not only one technique to purify negativities, there are many. So in every possible ways, or through different methods, we should do purification practice. So some people might hold this kind of notion that, okay, so purification practice means that I need to do Vajrasattva meditation and purification, otherwise it won't work. No, as a matter of fact, any positive karma or action we create with the intention to purify negativity, it works. So every positive karma we create is an antidote counteracting negativity.
연락 좀 보세요. 최고표도 샤차와 최고표 아니 디바이치아바 랑 예지 겨울아 지수여로 아니 최고콜고 고와 아니 고냥을만다 소한데 바다 정말로 가르쳐베나 최가를 두바 있는 야자티 랑 주리에페 디바드 파타야 그 체도 시그어레스데 로지 시그어레스.
So the point I'm making is there are many different methods or the ways to purify our negativities, and through all possible methods we should try to purify our negativities. And of course Vajrasattva meditation recitation is one of them. And then there are others like, one of the most important practices we talk about as we do purification accumulation practice is the 7-limb practice or 7-point practice called Yanla Timba in Tibetan. There are 7 points. And the 7 points are offering, prostration, confession, rejoicing, requesting holy beings not to pass away soon, supplicating them to teach, and doing altruistic dedication. So these are the 7 points of the limbs, and through which we can collect accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. So when we do purification of negativities or confession of negativities, we have to do that, through the application of what we call 4 antidotal powers or 4 powers of antidotes. And the 4 antidotal powers are, the first one is very important, that should come first, is the power of regret. Whatever negativities that we have already done or accumulated, we have to sincerely regret for having done them. So that power of regret is very important in the beginning. So when we generate regret for the negativities we have done, we should not confine ourselves only to this lifetime, whatever negativities we have done in this life. But as a matter of fact, we should think about what negativities we may have done in our previous lifetimes, so that we really generate strong regret or contrition for the negativities we have done, thus far. The power of regret is so central to our purification practice, so much so that if we generate a strong power of regret, then we will find every possible ways to purify our negativities. And one of the examples given is just like if we got poison into our system, and we know that, and we know poison is so dangerous and it's going to kill us. So when we know that, okay, I got a poison in my system, if I don't do something right now, I'm going to die, then you know that, how much regret we have for having, got the poison into our system. So with that regret, we will find different ways or the means to get rid of the poison out of our system. So just like that, the power of regret helps us to purify our negativities. So I think the regret could, arise in many different contexts. Like in the case of someone doing a business, and so you, for whatever reasons, you don't plan it out well, or for some circumstantial reasons, or whatever, and you invest so much money, and at the end you lose everything. And then how much regret would you have, right? That, but that regret, yes, we understand you wasted so much money, but still that is only limited to this lifetime. It's not going to affect the next life. So another antidotal power is the power of resolution. So that means we resolve that, okay, I really very much regret for all the negativities I have done thus far. Now I resolve not to repeat them or do them again.
So that day and the array. Then Jabba the Mena, Jabba the Mena, Devata covers.
Without regret, I think it is very difficult to purify negativities.
That day you don't send the Mena, and then they were yanking no matter those in a Garciga. Never saw the Shinki Junki covers.
Without the power of resolution, it would be hard to disrupt the continuity of negativities, because that means we may purify our negativities, but then we might do it again.
Honest. That day told that the Mabazoi, they were the Mabazoi of Taki Karazan, that Taki that they were a Nemo dangerous.
And so what really helps us to purify our negativities is to apply antidotes, right? So that's why the third is called the power of antidotes.
That's good. That's good. Zunga Tamba, that Tangin Huimba, don't you say me Gomde Sia, that Taranagi, that's so Sanju sent with your Gombina, Sanju Santa, don't you to hear a Gombina, that and so do it up chamber, Kaniki in at that tire.
So we can find many antidotes to counteract or to purify our negativities, such as doing Vajrasattva meditation and recitation, such as reciting many different kinds of mantras. But perhaps some of the most powerful antidotes are to cultivate bodhichitta, altruism, and to cultivate wisdom realizing emptiness. Through bodhichitta and wisdom realizing emptiness, we can pretty much purify any kind of negativity.
Well, Senki Yela, and this Shamba Gombata, he came the Shamba Chimbo Gombina, that is what I have the Yambo Top Chimbo Charis.
For the same reason, if we cultivate great love, wishing all sentient beings to be happy, and great compassion, wishing all sentient beings to be free from suffering and its causes, such powerful attitudes become powerful antidotes to purify our negativities. And this is called applying antidotes consistently. And in addition to those three antidotal powers, there's another one which is called the power of reliance. The power of reliance could include two things: that we could rely upon objects of refuge, like Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, or holy beings. But we can also cultivate positive qualities within our mind, such as great love, great compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom realizing emptiness. So these also become power of reliance. And it is said that if we apply the four powerful antidotes, sincerely and completely, there is no negativity that cannot be purified. And so with that, we will continue talking about the application of four powerful antidotes next week. And I will give an example of how the application of four powerful antidotes can purify negativities. I'll give examples next week. And today we will stop there, and I have announcement and reminder announcement and number of prayer requests. Reminder announcement is Monday, September 10th. At 7:30 p.m., Geshe will give refuge vows or precepts at the monastery. So those who are interested, they are welcome to do that. And we have prayer requests for people who are dealing with health issues. Miss Bobby Rothschild and Ken Nguyen. So prayers have been requested for them to recover from their sicknesses. We have prayer requests for people who have passed away. Luciano Pavarotti, one of the greatest opera singers in the world, as you know, passed away recently. Jennifer Chow, Geshe Tsultim Gyeltsen, 73 years old, passed away in India, but he was teaching in New Zealand. And Maple Taga, Venerable Lobsang Lamo, Tibetan Buddhist nun in Dharamsala. So prayers have been requested for them.
That the Liga Anita, they don't so they Saradam, Kashit Sayadam, the Rana Yagan Nadi to Samalota, Karina, that hits Savat and then Taji Jokitsami, they should be 10 number of exam Congress, none of Jagres, and then nothing in Tanzo necessary container, Jinhun Leta, Tajian condition at Zo Nipe, the name is Sindagi, that Madam Jagres.
For those people who have passed away, we dedicate our marriage so that they find good rebirths, precious human lives, and then meet with Dharma, and through their efforts and practices, may they be able to find happiness and find spiritual realizations. For those people who are dealing with health issues, we dedicate our marriage so that they recover soon from the sicknesses. Basically, their sicknesses are due to certain negative karmas that they accumulated, or also due to some circumstantial conditions. So we dedicate that may those conditions and bad karmas be purified soon, and they recover from their sicknesses.
Talking around so ne link it on the Duni, Church initiative gave us all a tenny, and then Sanji Temper which is unit the Nevada. Joy again of the tree within the shape of Taman could have a temper that 2 units on the Bemil Yomata. And then Church Dungi show for manager, 20 Javana is at Drupata. Getting come that I handle, Mintibi Gusota that Kenny, 20 Sota than Bemil Yomata.
Whatever merit we have accumulated together this morning, by the power of it, may Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness, flourishes throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great holy masters live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May these and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. In short, we dedicate our collective merit for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of two types of mental obscuration, and may we all reach complete enlightened state soon.
sim jo
Rambo Je Maje Bano Je Juro Kewa Nyamba Meba Dan Gone Gondo Bewa Sho
Tony
Tawa Rambo Je Maje Bano Je Juro Kewa Nyamba Meba Dan Gone Gondo Bewa Sho Korle Jingam De Bendon Dewa Male Jumben Chere Zewa Tenzin Gyeltsen Shabe Side Bando Tenjuronje Saje Beje Joje Meto Dama Rero Linje Nyende Kebonde Sanje Jendo Mede Wewoye Rogue Namda Jena Jebara Jo Yedan Guru Rana Mande Lagan Niya Daya Me
Tenzila.
Logan. Lawrence.
Ale, Tenzila, this one. Da, cancer. And kunju gomba jegi yasare. Anala ngaranzu chusho tohane mikasi gomba jegi yande ko nguite donation de cancer society ndo yasare. Oh, Long Beach Memorial Hospital ndo yaris. Cheta gomba jegi yana. Muzi bitu so kaki yasare ta cheta sanju nyande su gomba jegi yana anala da kunju package shi ndo.
I guess I want to say that I think in the Long Beach there will be a walk for cancer, and the proceeds generated from that will go to the Long Beach Memorial Hospital Cancer Treatment Center. And Geshe said it seems I think Anala and some going to join the walk, and if there are more students who are interested in, Geshe would encourage you to walk for cancer. Because I think when you take a walk and that generates proceeds and which will benefit the cancer treatment, so he supports the walk for cancer. Geshe said, I'm 85 years old and I'm an old man. Otherwise, if I'm much younger, I would go for a walk.
Thank you. No, that's okay.
Thank you so much.